right. Good evening. I just wanted to circle back because there's been a lot of development on the optimization front. Um, so, last time the stream ended with me hiding, or grouping a bunch of static geometry in a single group, right? And it was like, in theory, like appending the geometry data to a single BSP part, but it was like kind of like wobbly, like the way I had to allocate it and everything was weird. And I realized later that night, like when I was laying in bed in the middle of the night, oh god, I forgot to destruct it on level reset. So what that would mean that is that if you loaded one level, it would have concatenate all the static geometry in one model, and then when you loaded another level, that model would still have the old level's geometry in it, and then append the new level's geometry on top of it. So that obviously wasn't intended, and I needed to be able to destruct it, but I was uncertain that I could do so safely because of the weird way that I did allocate it. And anyway, it opened a big can of worms, and so I circled back and I realized a lot of I had a lot of realizations about it after the fact. So I ultimately realized that I needed to be able to construct, not just like a fake like BSP part with and just like worry about like modifying the OpenGL buffers or whatever to add more vertex data. I ultimately I realized that wasn't really sufficient. It wasn't really how I wanted the code to be written. And so I kind of realized I really need a new class. So I created the C compound shape class with the ability to take other parts in from the append method. So this kind of mirrors what the OpenGL vertices class does, where it has an append method where you pass it a part reference. It did basically the same thing here with the C compound shape. Same sort of function signature. And but instead of just modifying the OpenGL vertex data, it actually updates the sort of internal properties of BSP part. So whether there's that's not these aren't good examples, but there's these other tables: color table, point table, poly table, and that's the data that eventually becomes OpenGL vertex data. So I figured I should really just kind of build it out as though it's a normal Avara shape, and then the renderers can call the vertex data replace method on it or whatever at the end whenever the renderer is ready for it. And you can see that here. Actually, yeah. So I'm initializing a vertex data instance, which in this case is an OpenGL vertex or vertices class. And then, because it calls this returns a unique pointer to OpenGL vertices, a new OpenGL vertices instance. So it does that and then replaces the internal vertex data object with the C compound shape. It passes a reference to itself, basically. And it updates the vertex data. So I figured that was a much cleaner way to write it. However, that actually entailed large rewrites to the C BSP part class, because initially these tables were done. The constructor. This doesn't really have a public constructor that. So the sort of a valid C++ constructor is protected, and then it has this like IBSP part function that it calls, which is kind of silly. I'm not sure why we never got around to refactoring that. Somebody might have, and it just never got merged, actually. But there is a public create method. However, it requires a resource ID to be passed. And then what it does from there is, again, it actually calls the IBSP part method. And that, well, this is the new version, but before these were vectors of structs, it was unique pointers to dynamically sized arrays. And so here is where it was specifying the size, but we needed to know the size based on the data in the resource ID. And so when you're building a compound shape, you don't really know yet exactly what those are going to be, and you may need to resize them as you're appending new models to the compound shape. And so I had to give it something more flexible, something that was not fixed size. So I moved to standard vector, and that had all these implications because you can't have a vector of dynamically sized arrays. So I had to use structs instead. Polyrecord was already a struct, but this used to be the vector type, which is actually just a statically sized array of like 4 fixed integers, is what a vector is. And it did, even though the size was known, the size of that array was known at compile time, it still didn't let you do it. I'm not exactly sure why that constraint exists in C++, but it does. So I used fixed point instead, which was already established, I think, at the top of this class. It had these properties, and I created a public constructor, a couple public constructors, and a method for outputting it to the console as a string, to standard output and stuff. So that was good. Then I had to create this float normal struct as well for floats, because that was also, well, that was part of polyrecord, actually. And again, before, this was like a fixed size float array of 3 elements, and again, it didn't like that. So I made those modifications, and the color table, there used to be 2 color tables, but I didn't want to have to worry about those. Before, again, they were being initialized at a fixed size based on the resource ID that was passed in at construction. But now that we can't rely on that, we have to use these resizable vectors. I wanted to actually combine those tables into a single table, and have these the original color and the current color sitting side by side, at a single index, because if we had two vectors, one that's the original color table and one that's the current color table, one could potentially, there's no like guarantee that those vectors would remain the same size, if a programmer made a mistake. And so I like to prevent programmers from making mistakes. I like to write code and design code in such a way that you can't make a mistake. You have to use it correctly. So I just created a new type color record, had the original color and current color side by side, and made that refactoring where necessary. And then, it was at that point, after I got that done and compiling, which was itself a kind of a task, I realized again that I had to take a step back and rethink the way that I was approaching things, because before I was just, in the add part method, as I recall, I was just adding, appending the BSP to the static geometry immediately. And in theory, that should be fine, right? And it's theoretically more efficient to do so, like as you're already iterating through actors and instantiating parts and sending them to the renderer. But what I realized, and I kind of looked at this code, in my last stream, but there's like, there are object types like wall door, field, wall solid, etc., that they are created but can be influenced or shaped by the last wall actor, which is defined by level loader somewhere. It's probably just in the CPP file here near the top. And this is ultimately like, actually, I guess it must be C wall actor, come to think of it. And so other classes like, let's just look at wall solid, pull that in, and assuming it exists, it actually, so it gets a reference or whatever, a pointer to the part that was created on that C wall actor object, reassigns the owner property to this object. So now a C wall solid. This is new. Ignore that. And then it assigns the internal part list for this wall solid to the part pointer from that last wall actor, and whatever does the transforms, removes the part from that belonged to the C wall actor from the renderer, which is up to the renderer what to do in that scenario, because previously this renderer did not have a dynamic and a static world. It just had a dynamic world for collecting parts that would potentially change over time. And so when you so yeah, I mean it's up to the renderer, to make a decision what to do when you call that function. And so what we want to do is, yes, we want to remove the previous wall part, and then eventually, this isn't reflected in this function, but there's another function that gets called on all C abstract actors, where after it's done parsing the object in the level file, it will create parts and add them to the renderer. And so, yeah, you want to remove the wall part, add the part for the wall solid at the end. And then it deletes the wall actor. I'm actually interested in the fact that even though it's deleting it, it's not removing it from the game world. That's interesting. Because as far as I know, it hasn't caused problems. And this one does the same thing. So there must be a check to make sure it's not a null pointer as it's iterating through that stuff. But anyway, point being, you can't add them as you are, like, you can't make the decision. Well, you can make the decision that, okay, this part is static or it's dynamic when you add it to the renderer. However, you can't actively add it to the compound shape, because that part, you don't know for sure whether or not that part is going to exist when the next part, or when the next actor gets parsed. And so I wound up having to change that code. That would be add part, so that it adds it to a static world. So this is another CBSP world instance, just like dynamic world. And so we are adding it, and then at a certain point, so this is again a new method that I had to add to the renderer spec, the rendering interface, post level load. So it's like these are actions that you want to perform once the level is done loading. And so at that point, it takes the world and it calls this squash method. And that is what ultimately calls, I can show you here, so it creates a unique pointer to a new C compound shape instance. It reserves the amount of space that is required, and it's able to do that because and this was like a kind of a happy opportunity that I was able to build this reserve method, because otherwise, if you're just like appending over and over and over, those vectors that we had to create of the point, polygon, and color tables would be getting resized fairly frequently, which can be time consuming. So it's kind of a nice optimization to be able to say, hey, I have this BSP world, and we pass that into this reserve method, and then the reserve method just says, it starts these counts at 0, iterates through all the parts, and just counts, keeps a running total of points, colors, and polygons, and then makes a single reserve call for each of those vectors, knowing, okay, this is how much data is contained in this single CBSP world, so it only really has to resize those tables once. And it's not constantly asking for more memory and moving stuff around. So it does that. Then it iterates through all the parts, calling the append method on them, and or with them, I suppose. And that's really where the meat of the code is. And that I had a lot of help from Croc on some of that. Because I still was having issues getting it to actually render to the screen. Hey, Rico. So I was able to, colors, you just append on, and when you iterate through the points, and this is kind of what I knew I would have to do, but wasn't exactly sure the best way to do that. So, we take the points of the model, we scale them up, we perform the transformations on them to actually convert them into world space coordinates instead of just being relative to origin, the center of the game world, and then he's like doing some figuring out like the bounding box situation for this model, and then then we push that modified point to the point table, and we also somewhere in here, I guess it's all just in the polygon record stuff, but we we know how many points there are. The normal can go in as most of this stuff is going in pretty much as is from the source, but then when it adds the points, it also has to, because like the try points reference indexes of, so this is a poly record, right? And a polygon is really just a collection of points, and when you sort of draw a line from point to point to point, you create a triangle. And so what's actually referenced in this array of points is an index into the point table up here. And so we had to actually pad it out by the starting point count. However big that part array point array was before we started adding this new model to the compound shape. And so we have to add that to whatever index was stored, relative to the polygon, the the model that we're adding. Because they're if you have like 50,000 points on the compound model, but this new part you're adding has I don't know, let's say if there's only like 2 polygons or something, there's like 6 points. You don't want to reference the range of the indexes in this table is going to be 0 through 5, and so you really need to add that to that 50,000 that was already there in order to get 50,000 to 50,005, since you've added to the end of the point array. And we're doing a similar thing for the color indexes as well on the polygon. So pretty simple. Then I just have to do a single has alpha check on the end instead of initially I thought, oh god, I'm gonna have to like loop through all the colors in the color table and see if it has any alpha. But I was like, oh no, I could just see. Do we already have? Is the static model already marked as having alpha or not? And if it's not, okay, well, does this part have alpha? Which theoretically should already be calculated. And so it's actually a really inexpensive operation. So that's pretty much what it is. And it actually, that's the work that was done. And it turned out very successful. That test map, the legacy map, as if you go back and watch the original stream, the CPU percentage numbers were up to like 40+%, and those percentage numbers are like, how long did it take to draw the frame versus how long is the frame time? Like, how long do we actually have, considering that in the game it's a fixed frame rate in theory, and this is the frame time, so the amount of time between frames. So you have 16 milliseconds to make all your calculations and draw, or render the frame in order to run at 62.5 frames per second. So let me just actually load that legacy map, and we will look at the numbers. So we want legacy, no yawn boxes. So if you start the game, and we'll just kind of run around a little bit. But yeah, I mean, what we discovered is right. So in addition to that 40% number I quoted, this is a level by Sphinx Rico. So yeah, there was that 40% number, which is like, what we were seeing was that it was taking 5 to 8 milliseconds to render a frame of this level. But now, if we look at the console here, well, thanks Steam, it's less than 1 millisecond. And so yeah, I mean, the numbers are like hovering around 3 to 4 or 5%, which is just as fast as like a simple level like Baghdad, basically. So yeah, I mean, the amount of static objects in the map no longer really affects performance. In fact, this is actually worse. That's interesting. Somehow that legacy map is faster than Baghdad. I'm sure that's a fluke, but very. I mean, that's the effect that we were, hoping to achieve. And so, there's just a lot of overhead that happens on those OpenGL draw calls, and it's, if you aren't bundling stuff in a static compound model, and just doing a single draw call for that stuff, it really scales linearly. I mean, like, even if the overhead is really slight, if you're doing a draw call for every single object and you have over 1,000 objects, like the legacy map, I believe, has 1,377 objects in it, and those might just be static objects. That number comes from Heads reporting. He ran some benchmarks for me, and but yeah, I mean, like, that tiny little bit of overhead really adds up when you do it 1,300 times, and so if you can just do it in put so many of those objects in a single draw call, all that overhead evaporates, and so that's why it's beneficial to do it this way. So that being said, what I wanted to do was just minor tweaks because yeah, and there was another optimization I made, was that I had realized, looking at the code. I can't remember if I mentioned it on stream out loud, but in the draw method, or yeah, actually, sorry, the draw method here, towards the top, what it was doing was, it used to be calling this function for both alpha parts, or alpha polygons and opaque polygons, and what this function actually does is it uploads the vertex data that you specify to the GPU. And so it was doing this on every single frame, which is especially, it's actually like, as I discovered, because I initially like removed this from the alpha branch of the code here, and then I realized, oh yeah, no, I had to do that because I'm sorting the polygons, because you have to do that because you're depending on your perspective, the perspective of the camera, you're going to have to, like, you want to sort those transparent polygons from farthest to nearest, so they draw in that order, and you get the effect that you want. But but you don't have to do that for opaque stuff at all, and especially not, well, yeah, never mind. I was gonna say not for static stuff, but you do have to do it for static stuff too, at least for alpha, for alpha stuff. But if it's opaque, we didn't have to do that. So that's actually handled now, in the essentially anytime you do the vertex data operation on OpenGL vertices, it somewhere here, where is it? Yeah, it handles the uploading because you've just made a change to the part, and so yeah, of course you should upload it then. So it's just a lot of smart changes, and the performance has been really, really great. So very happy with that. Now, what I was going to say earlier was that this is really great, but there are still object types that I have not marked as static worthy, that could be. Right now, the only things that are considered static are walls and ramps and domes. We did those on the stream, whatever it was, a few days ago, and let's see, force fields that don't specify a speed, because you can specify a spin speed, which I didn't even realize. But you can do that. And then you have, what else did I added it to, I don't remember. What was it? Holograms. Holograms is the other one. Holograms are always static. So that's good. I can also add it, I believe, to, for example, see tri-pyramid actor, which is a part that basically never gets used by any level I have ever seen. It's extremely useless part, but yeah, because it uses load part, it looks like I just have to override is geometry static for that. So let me do that. What is it? Bool is geometry static override. I should also specify override on this, otherwise Xcode will complain with a warning. Okay, so that was bool c try pyramid actor is geometry static. Oh wait, I forgot. I've been for simple things like this. I just like to put it in the header. So yeah, I think that's literally all I have to do for try pyramid. But yeah, I mean this doesn't do any sort of spinning or anything fancy. It's just completely a dumb object. So that's good. There are okay, so let's maybe start at the top. So any sort of missile moves, that doesn't count. Movers, yep, obviously that doesn't count. Player, abstract yawn. I think this must is this, does yawn box extend that? I'm just curious. In any case, yeah, it doesn't matter because they're not visible. So yeah, those don't matter. Areas are. I think they also don't have a shape. Let me make sure of that though. I can't remember. It looks like it doesn't, or maybe it does. Shoot, I'm not sure. That's interesting. Let me try to confirm this one. This is probably not a useful thing to search for. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I mean, yeah, didn't think so. So yeah, areas don't count either. Balls move. Depot, I think, is just it's not a game object. It's let me double check, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, not a game object. So again, that doesn't matter. Okay, domes I've already handled. Doors, in theory, could be static if they don't have a. I mean, and this is what I need to play around with, and this is why I didn't tackle it from the beginning. But like, it's possible for a door to exist but not move if it doesn't have events set, I guess. It's hard to hard for me to know for sure what the what the conditions are. Like I think like status might matter, or really it might just be the whether or not the events, and I can't even, where are the events? I guess open activator, close activator. If those aren't set, I guess, that then it would be static, because it's nothing. Nothing is going to trigger this thing to take action. That said, it's also more complicated than that, because see, glow actors means that it can, that like glow actors can glow when you shoot them if they are configured a certain way. If can glow is true, or their shield value is I can't remember, like is it a non-negative number, or is it whatever. If they have shields and can be destroyed, then obviously that state can also change. So whether or not you want to, whether or not you can render something and know that it's not going to change color, disappear entirely, etc. So doors are a complicated case, but they can, in theory, be static. So it just requires you to do more checking. And that's what I wanted to do today, is tackle some of these more complicated cases. So door actor is a good thing to check, and I think door 2 extends door. I believe wall door extends door 2. And so if we just define the logic at the C door level, I think that will be what we like. It'll apply to both. This is again why I should have kept that tab open, but let me look at door somewhere. Okay. Okay, a door can be any shape that moves when it receives an open or close message. The closed state is the default position and orientation of the object. When opened, the door tries to move from its closed state to the open state. Open state is defined by a 3D translation and 3 rotation. Note that you can use any BSP shape as a door. Right. So this is like how far it moves in space, which, I mean, again, I guess is another thing you could test. It's like if the open, because even if it has an open and close message, but like, these 6 parameters are set to 0, then it's still not going to actually move anywhere. So, I mean, again, you could get really detailed in our checks here, but so yeah, there's open and close. These are, or I guess if the speed is 0 too, that's another possibility. But anyway, yeah, so open and close, these are the messages that cause the door to open and close. See the chapter on messages. I read that already. The door sends these messages when it closes or opens completely. Useful for making perpetually moving doors. But did I... Because I don't recall seeing that those were also message type. What's different between Message record and message type. That's interesting. It's just a short, but a message record. Okay, so that's... And that has a message ID in there. That's interesting. Let's see here. Hold on. Just longs there. So that's begin script. Do they have end script in here too? Yes, end script. Register receiver. Open activator. Close activator. Interesting. So maybe... What's read door variables? I'm curious. Oh. Is it? No, this is C door. Is there different read door variables here? That's just really interesting that... Like, that compiles? Oh, okay, here we go. I see. Okay. Okay. Anyway, yeah, there's a program door variables. Oh, okay, I see. Anyway, interesting. Then there's also door status. What did it say for status? This initial state of the door, closed or open. Okay, yeah. So again, you could get real nuts here. Like, okay, is it... I don't even know if I want to, like... I mean, obviously, that's what I'm here for, I guess, is thinking out loud and everything. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of conditions here. So let's start by... Well, actually, hold on. Let me look at one more thing before I move on. Where is door 2? Was I already in door 2? No, this is door. Okay, here's door 2. Hard to read on the wiki here. Middle. Keep it at closed. This is the middle position. The useful setting would be something like 0.5, but if you keep it at closed, you can actually change the orientation of the door when it is in the closed state. That's confusing. Yeah, and then wall door is just basically a door 2, but with a wall shape. Okay, so maybe the best way would be to do this, and we'll actually define, because the logic is going to get crazy, we'll define it in C door actor. So let's go ahead and mark all that stuff. You know what? Before I do that, let's go ahead and do this one first. I'm going to go ahead and move this to the top for consistency. All this stuff I'm pretty sure was hit is yeah, also override. Okay, virtual bool is geometry static. And we will mess with this one first. So yeah, so this kind of starts by setting I can glow. There's a can glow property, and also it's like a Avara script variable or property, and so this is setting it depending on whether or not shields are set on this object, and it's similarly doing so thing with like the setting the default hit sound for when it gets hit by a projectile. And right, so if the shields are greater than or equal to 0, then it's destructible, can take damage, and so they want it to glow by default and have a sound. So long story short, really it's like return can glow or shields greater than or equal to 0, because if it doesn't glow and actually hold on. So let's say if it does glow, then we want this to return. Actually, we want this to return false. So, right. So if it can glow, wait. Yes. If it can't glow, and shields are less than, or shields are, actually no. Okay. For some reason, like, this is hard for me to reason about, because it's like, I don't know, it's like somehow backwards from what comes naturally in my mind. So yes, if it can't glow and is not destructible, then we want it to return true. So, but if it does glow, then this fails and automatically returns false. Or if it can't glow but the shields are greater than or equal to 0, then again it should return false. Right? So uh, that is, I believe I have that written correctly. Um, right. Yeah, because we want it to both be non-glowing and indestructible, in order to qualify as static. So now that I feel comfortable with that, I can say here. Um, I'm trying to think like the best way, because I basically, the reason I did that one first is that I want to see for C door actor to also check those properties, and so I wanted to call the C glow actors version of the method as well. So I'd say if C glow actors is geometry static, or if not, then return false, because like we would want it to fail immediately. Does that make? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, well, that's how we'll do it. So if it gets down to the bottom, we'll say it's static. So we need to define our door conditions here so that it, for just like when we will explicitly return false. So I would say, like what was the okay, so this sets basically the default values for this stuff. Yeah, there's the 2.6 delta y. So that apparently is the default. What an interesting default. But yeah, if the let's say if any of these, like if I'm trying to think of like the order in which to do these things, because again, it's like the logic here is kind of crazy. Okay, I think we need to check to see whether or not the open and closed state will change or has the capacity to change first. So that would be I open message and I close message, or whatever those end up getting mapped to, which we will figure out in script. Okay, so whatever this, what's open activator? Message record. So what does register receiver actually do? Message record. Okay, right. So we're passing in the thing that we want to set, and then the message number. Ugh. Eventually we'll get to where we want to be. Message num. Message. Okay, so this is doing. So it looks like message ID would normally be 0, maybe. I'll have to look at the... yeah, see, this doesn't define defaults, which I don't love. I don't love seeing that. But, like, what did it do here? If, I mean, does this just... Yeah, I don't... let me think here. So let's do this. I'm going to put a breakpoint here. And we're going to load a level with wall doors in it that don't move. And I'm going to inspect somewhere here. Okay, there we go. The open activator message ID is 0. Close activator message ID is 0. Okay, that's cool. So I think that's what I want. Let me also check maybe like a goodie. Or no, I'm trying to think of something that has like a start message that okay, so this is something, what is this? This is a teleporter? Okay, that's where I'll put a breakpoint next. We will look to see, because I want to see what the start message is in their little thing here. Just to make sure that it's not also 0. What? Actually, let me double check to make sure that the first teleporter object isn't like... Okay, yeah. So this is a thing on the ground. I just want to make sure it wasn't like the bubble teleporter or something. So, because that might have a different start message. So now let's look at the start message. Interesting. Stop message 0. So yeah, I think I just have to check. It's just really interesting. Like, why is I wonder why at start is 179. But it's issued when the game starts. Oh, and that's like a sound. So I wonder if I could do that too, just to compare. Where is it? Ugh. Somewhere. Here we go. this is still a teleporter. I thought Bodhi had a sound in it. There we go, sound actor. And yep, well, I don't know. Okay, so interesting. Let's go ahead then and say if open activator dot message ID is greater than 0, or, well, right. I mean, this is kind of the, again, where it's already getting into tricky territory, because in theory, if the status is already open, then it doesn't matter that the message ID is 0. But maybe I just won't worry about that. I don't know. But I'll say if message ID is greater than 0, and on top of that, I would also need to see if because again, like if open speed is greater than 0, or actually I guess maybe I should say like is not equal to 0. Like I don't know what would happen if you had it like a negative if you had a negative speed. That wouldn't make any sense. It's not going to go move backwards or whatever. But yeah, so if the speed, shoot, hold on a sec. Classic open speed. Okay, yeah, that's the one that's ultimately getting set. So we'll start with that. If classic open speed is not equal to 0, or the or okay, well, I'll worry about that in a second. Deltas and twists. So I'll just start with that. Delta 0 is not equal to 0. Or deltas 1 is not equal to 0. Or deltas 2 is not equal to 0. Or twists 0 is not equal to 0, or twists 1 is not equal to 0. Okay. I mean, again, this is so... Because, like, yeah, I mean, if any of this stuff is set But theoretically, it's okay for this stuff to be set if it has speed, or if it doesn't have speed. So maybe I should say, like, is this correct? Am I thinking about this right? Because if speed is 0, then I don't care about the rest of this. But if it's not, but if it has speed and if it has speed but all this stuff is 0, then I could still return true theoretically. So so this would be like, if one of these was, I already forget what I just said, because this is so confusing. But maybe I'll say, let's try to format this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that easier to open or to read? I don't know. But okay, so if let's start with the scenario where there is a speed. Or let's say when there's not a speed. So if speed is 0, it does not matter what this crap is set to. So if classic open speed is 0, this would fail and it wouldn't return false. If classic speed has a value and so this is like 2 or whatever, so then this would be true, and okay, yeah, and then if any of these are not 0, then that would be true. This would evaluate to true, and it would return false, which is what we want. So I think that makes sense, and I can do a similar... like I'm trying to think of like... because theoretically you want to do a similar thing with like the close activator. But then there's also, yeah, that whole status thing, which might also be a thing. If close activator, classic close speed, because if it's, again, like, the order in which this stuff is written matters. So what is the program? So status isn't. Okay, here we go. K door closed. What does K door closed mean? 0 versus K door open, which is a big number. What about C door 2? Does that have a special constant? It doesn't seem to. There's not one for the middle state. Interesting. Okay. So what is it? Status. Door status? Let's see here. Doors. Nope. Not where I'm looking for it. Door status. Okay. Yeah, so really it's if door status is K door closed and there's an open message. Because if it's open and there's an open message, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But yeah, if door status, okay, door open and the close message, and there's a close message, then we again care about. Just immediately we want to. Well, I guess not immediately, because ultimately, if it can't close, because there's no speed or just there's no transformations to be done, then it could still theoretically be treated as static. But I think that makes sense. So did I cover? Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, if it glows or is destructible, then it isn't static. If it's closed and can open, then it's not static. If it's open and can closed, then it's not static. Otherwise, it's static. I think that makes sense. Let me just go through this one more time, because we don't care about did open or did close. Like, we don't care about messages that this thing can send. We only care about just the things that it responds to, I guess. And classic open delay. I don't think delay matters. Was that even in the documentation here? I'm curious. Door. Pitch, yaw, roll. Speed, close speed, open, close. Open delay. Okay, yeah. Not really relevant here. Guard delay. Yeah, not really relevant. Not really relevant. Okay. So, I think that makes sense. So, in order to test this, let's go ahead and kill Avara. We will turn our breakpoints off. Or will we? I don't know. Now let's go to the renderer and temporarily what do I want to do? Do I want to hide let's just hide the static objects. So that would be render frame somewhere. Here we go. And I'll just worry about the opaque static objects. Okay, so we'll build that. I don't know. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's we'll delete. Yeah. Okay. Right. So we're hiding static stuff. So we're gonna see not a lot. Yep. So yeah, the ground star there is missing. Everything's missing in Bwadi, but I wanted to check Grimoire because before we made the changes that we did, you could still see like pillars and stuff here, but now because the pillars or whatever were rotated 45 degrees, and so we had to use Waldorfs for that. But now we don't see them. We just see goodies, and I think there's a teleporter over here. Cool stuff. There's supposed to be a dome here. So that's good. And then just out of curiosity, if I or just for grins, let's just hide the dynamic parts now and do that again, which really should just whatever make the so now we see all the world stuff. Funny enough, we don't see our own Hector. We don't see the goodies. We don't see the teleporter. It's still there, of course. Yeah, I mean, all the pillars and stuff are here. So that worked okay. Now the question is, if we open, for example, let's say grounds 2. Oh wait, because this is a. Actually, no, that's fine. That is my scout. Okay. Interesting. I'm not sure that that's correct. Yeah, because this is. Okay. Because that's being treated as static, but in theory it shouldn't be? That's interesting. I wonder why that is happening. Let's try putting the debugger on here and see what we're looking at. Okay, yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, let's do that first. I did. Okay. Let me reactivate that and then load training grounds. Door 2, huh? But there's no mid deltas. Why is there... Oh, this is interesting. Same thing with that. Why are there 4 values? Anyway, so it's set to closed, but all this stuff is 0? Like, is it just not... let me look at end script. Because it feels like a just like order of functions being called kind of problem. Right. Like, where is it loading the parts? That's my question. Looks like probably here. Unless... No, okay, that's where place parts get called, but that's after... So it loads the parts, and that's what does like the is geometry static thing. And then of course, like, you know, the wall doors are different anyway, but it reads the door variables. You know, it's already set the because like, wait, where is it? Read door variables. So that's the thing that reads in the deltas and whatnot. Deltas and twists. And then okay, hold on. Is there more than one Waldor in training grounds? That's my question. Given the weird stuff I'm seeing here, because it doesn't seem like it should be. Shit, is this? This might be training group. No, okay. Let's try that again. Oh, okay, yeah. Hello? Where are we? Come on, debugger. Okay. Okay, this has a message ID, which, in theory, ought to be enough to have it return false. Say it's not static. Again, maybe because it's if the part has user flags that say it's static. This is the wall actor. So if it's not static and which it shouldn't be, and static is already set, then it's meant to remove the static flag and remove the part, but maybe it needs to do that earlier before it makes the modification here. Anyway, it still strikes me as odd that that these are all 0 and stuff. Okay, hold on. Maybe I need to find something with an actual door object in it and use that as the test. Lion ball, maybe. Door 2. BSP flag. And that has that might be on the helicopter. So let's try that. Again, these are all appear to be 0. And oh, right. But the speed... Okay. I think that may be the problem. Hold on. Is that, yes, I still think, because if the speed is 0, right? Like, yeah, we told it to just be like, yeah, okay, this thing is static. In all likelihood, or whatever. So I think we just need to move. I would move this stuff up before these other bits. Yeah. So let's try it that way and see if that fixes the issue. So I want to make sure grimoire... Oh, wait. Well, yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, and that is moving again. So that's being treated as dynamic, not static, which... Get up there. Okay. Yes, this is moving. So that's good. So let's go ahead, though, and go back to, as an example, hiding the static stuff, just to make sure that those unmoving wall doors in Bodhi still, in Grimoire, still don't display. Okay. Similar with Bodhi, but grounds 2, we should still see the thing. Yep. Training grounds, we still see that. Ugh. Wall door. Okay, so that seems to be working correctly. Let's look at Forward Warfare. Make sure that yes, the flags are waving. And if we abort, we'll spawn in the helicopter, and those doors should move. Once the light turns red here. Yeah. Okay. So those work as well. The helicopter blades are... No, those may just be... actually, those are probably just goodies or teleporters or something that don't move. All right. Oh, right, and I think there are... That's interesting. Okay, how do I get inside? Where is the entrance? Wait, is this the... Okay, this is the side of the fort. Right, these are wall doors. And go up. Okay, there we go. Hard to remember how these things are actually laid out until we're in here. Okay. Alright, so yeah, that so far is what I would expect. So I think we've got pretty good logic there. And I guess just for symmetry, we'll check without with static loading, dynamic geometry not loading. So yeah, now we see all that stuff, including the rotated walls. We see that stuff, but not the wall doors. Okay. Yep. Again, we are seeing the opposite. Let's see, Fort of Bob. So, yep. Invisible door. Invisible enemies. Invisible Hector. Cool. Yeah, so I think that that works. I'm not exactly sure what hold on. Because what is single player? Alf. So that is a wall door. But yeah. So that stuff is working okay because it's not setting a those middle things. But yeah, but that seems to be doing appropriate stuff to wall doors so far. But I'm still confused about like this like middle equals closed or whatever. So let me see, like middle equals. That's interesting. But yeah, they don't move at all, which I guess that's true. I should see what happens. Why not? So right now we'll hide static stuff, and in theory we should still not really see anything on Lighthouse. So let's test that theory. Oh. Interesting. Oh, that might be because of the yaw, though, actually. Or yawn. Did I say yaw? Where's yawn set? Here. Oh, there. So, like, if I remove that and try again, and we're hiding static, so I shouldn't really see anything. I like what I'm not seeing. Right, Just a bunch of goodies, but no geometry. Okay. Which tracks. But yeah, okay, so let's collapse Lighthouse. We don't care about that. Exandria, I mean, again, this just seems like a similar thing, where yeah, I mean, he's just rotating stuff. It's not an actual door with an actual middle state or whatever. Okay, so here's something. Farnueth. What's Farnueth? So this should already be appropriately marked as dynamic because of the properties that are on it. So let's try figuring out Elfarn. Ooh, a Mondo level. How many? There's just two different doors, and they both. Okay. Let's pick a better hole than that. Let's say infantry. Okay. This is not a good time to go trying to figure out where I might find some wall doors. What was that? Why am I stuck in here? Why can't I shoot through this to hit the switch? Is this just a trap? Oh my god, come on, man. That's a hologram? What? What is this level? Is that like a bug with my code? What's going on here? Very confused. Okay, well, that's a door. That much is clear. That's the door. That's a door. Oh, that's probably one that is a mid. Given the two stages there. So, yeah, I mean, I just really don't understand these parameters. Mid Z. Okay. But yeah, like 0.6. I don't exactly know what that means. I guess it must be, yeah, I mean, like a fraction of the Um, yeah. uh, like when it starts doing the mid transformations. Um, so yeah. Um, mid yaw, but there's also yaw. Oh, but that's like theoretically probably like open yaw and open and not okay. I was just wondering why it's called mid yaw and then that's what we've always used, but that kind of makes sense. So open on middle or whatever. This is middle position. Usually would be something like 0.5, but if you keep it at closed, you can actually change the orientation in the closed state. I guess that's just that's talking about orientation. It must be, yeah. I don't know. Middle position. Yeah, they don't do a very good job documenting this, but I think oof. What would be the okay, so just to clarify, okay, so yeah, middle, mid, XYZ, pitch, yaw, roll, and that's basically it. Those are the additions. So on let's open up door 2. And actually, I'm gonna take a quick break here to use the restroom and get some more tea. But I will be back in just a second. Okay, so I think I might be stupid. Just because I'm realizing now, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, none of these parameters really matter. Because it's just, I mean, it's a middle state, and still what remains is what we defined in, well, glow actors, but also Sea-Door actor. Because, yeah, like if a object, I mean, you know, uh, ultimately, if none of these things are set or whatever, um, as long as the the triggers are, is it closed, and is it possible for it to open? Is it open, and is it possible for it to close? Because the middle state is just in between there. There's not like a middle event or whatever that gets fired to trigger a middle state. It's really just like it's a, what's it called, like a keyframe in the animation of a moving door. And so, yeah, that really has no bearing on, is this thing static or not. It's yeah, so I actually don't have to worry about that. The logic I have, I mean, and we've seen that, yeah, I mean, it's seems to be working fine for all the doors that we've looked at. I did want to also check, though, to turn off static geometry again and load that legacy level, because I think that had a lot of rotated doors and stuff in it. So let's look at legacy and see how empty it is now, because that's a good barometer. That's pretty empty. I wonder what those... Oh, I think those are solids. Why couldn't we see the pillars? Do they have yawn on them? They might. Okay, but anyway, yeah, so there's a bunch of pillars that we couldn't see, which, quite frankly, he should remove the yawn on them. But yeah, some of these might be solids. I'm not sure. But I do want to, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to manually modify this map. Because I don't want anything else mucking with the our test. Because this is really just what I'm using as a test bed. So let me search for yawn. Jeez, that's a lot of objects with yawn. Is this... No. Oh, that's probably here we go, regular expression. Replace with nothing. Boom. Wall. Oh. Invisible stuff. Which, again... I don't see how many. Okay, so there's 20 of those, and then 56 of those. That's 76 total. Okay, so yeah, that's good, and the renderer should already be ignoring those invisible parts entirely. I don't add them to any BSP world or the compound model or anything because we never have to draw them. So yeah, anything that's less than has a yawn that's like less than 10 centimeters away essentially is what this means. It doesn't draw, or does just like, okay, I saw this, but I'm gonna forget about it. Like, don't care about it. So there's that. So now let's open up Legacy again. Oh, there we go. That's faster. All right, so now yeah, those pillars are gone. So that's good. Okay, that was just a goodie. Here, I'm gonna self-destruct, and it's hard enough to navigate this without having anything visible. I just want to make sure that nothing else kind of creeps into view as I get closer to the top. Yeah. Okay, so now I just is whatever these things are here in the corner. So that's cool. All right, so let's go ahead and tell it to render. Well, maybe not. Hold on. Was it like maybe a solid? Free solid. That's invincible but can glow. But it also doesn't define a shape. So that's probably, yeah, because it's also white, and it's a square, a flat square. So that, I think that is what is below the little pyramid. Okay, and this is probably I'm not sure actually. I don't think solid supports is ambient. Right? That would be weird. Yeah, hologram is ambient. Solid does not. It'd be weird if it was a physical object that you didn't have to render. So, okay. I mean, really, yeah, because they're free solids and they glow and everything. I don't really have to worry about those. But these other solids, I want to know. Like what color is this? Yeah, a sandy sort of color. And it doesn't say. I mean, it's it's like barely off the ground, and it doesn't say anything about glow or anything, so I'm just kind of confused about what that could be. It's got to be the free solid. Well, I guess because, come to think of it, because solid extends glow actors, I think. Right. Then that means that it just uses, this interpretation, and by default, I think I guess it's not defined here. Maybe somewhere. Okay, yeah, so by default it says can glow true though. So but then I guess it does change it after. Okay, yeah. So I mean, really, what matters is this bit here. And the default value for shields, I'm guessing, is, of course, it doesn't say. Here, we love uninitialized data. It's great. Okay, so is there like a... Okay, so that's what it's initialized to is -1. So yeah, by default it shouldn't glow if it's not, otherwise specified by the by the actor. And in this map, the solids do not seem to be. What did I search for? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I mean, solids are taken care of. Free solids are taken care of. I mean, free solids should basically never be. In fact, I might have to. Yeah, let's try something actually, because uh, I'm surprised that those blocks are rendering, honestly. Because free solid, well, extends real movers, but that extends glow actors. And so, yeah, I'm curious as to why. Um, oh, because mm, hmm. Like, is it loading the, like actually executing the just C abstract actor version of his geometry static? I mean, that's what I'm confused about because, um, hmm. um, I mean, shooter. Solid. I don't know, man. Where's on the rocks? Okay, so yeah, these are based on walls. So what's interesting is that it should be in this block here. Um, apparently not. Um, why is that? Okay, so the blocks here are not visible. Like I'm curious why. What is different about on the rocks that, I mean, it's like, anyway. Do they have a movers thing in here that is documented? That's my question. Let me see what. Oh, see real movers. Oh. Recent parasite. Real movers, real shooters. Okay, but yes, in any case, real movers should always be false. Should always be unstatic. So it's interesting. Okay, so yeah, let's say, I'm curious though, what about guard? What does guard extend? Glow actors. That's interesting. Huh. I mean, I guess because it doesn't have mass. Like I don't know. Anyway, see real movers, and we'll go ahead and say, I don't know. Free slot and parasites. Yeah, I'd say that those. One of these days, we need to implement more degrees of freedom in free solid movement. Okay, so in theory, that should fix Icebox Classic. Again, the thing with the free solid is in rocks, on the rocks, is strange to me. Okay. question is if and again, that's so strange. Like, I guess it makes sense that a parasite has mass actually because it slows you down. But yeah, or speeds you up is also a possibility. But where's the frame action? That's right. I forgot they have like start and stop messages. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to mess with that, to be honest. But if it's active, okay, where's the mass? I'm just curious. So if we hit something, cause damage to it. Okay, but how do we? What? Where is it applying mass? I'm really confused about that. Huh. Is it really not taking mass into consideration? Maybe it's part of... Well, no. I don't know. Yeah. Where's acceleration defined? Okay. I don't know, man. All right. Yeah, I guess you could say like if the status is, I don't know. I mean, you could do stuff there, but I think if you have a free solid, you intend for it to move. Otherwise, you would use some other object. I'm okay with making the implementation there a little bit simpler. Okay, so this should again use the real movers implementation. I feel like, again, guard actors. What is mine? That's a glow actor too. I'm just gonna say So anything that's a real shooter. Okay, yeah. But we've already gone over that. Product place parts is also... So yeah, we'll say guards are always... I mean, in theory, I guess if like rot speed is 0, maybe. Shoot. Okay, yeah. Adjust the maximum speed at which the guard turns to track targets. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, here we could check the start and stop events and the speed. So so now where was it? It was door. Let me look at door again. So if based on like low settings, if it already says it can't be static, then we'll just immediately report that. Otherwise, we will do, again, similar, like the messages here. So we'll say if where's the in script here? Tracking activator. Yeah, I start message. If there's a tracking activator message and rot speed does not equal 0, then we will return false. So if it has a message and it has a speed, that means that it can be basically like it can track enemies. Otherwise, it's going to not move. It's not going to track. It's just going to potentially, fire every 30 ticks or whatever. And we don't care about the stop message. We just care, hey, is this thing going to activate? Ever be activated? and whether or not, again, it has shields and can glow and all that stuff. So I believe that's all we need there. So let's make sure that well, I want to look at mine because I just kind of skipped over that and just said, yeah, it's not, I mean, theoretically it could have negative shield, be invincible, and it could never activate, I guess. Again, why would that be? Nobody knows. It's funny they list shield twice though. Yeah, I don't know, this stuff is a little bit harder to understand. But again, I feel like I'm fine with, it's kind of like free salt. Like if you have a mine, presumably it's going to blow up. It's there for a purpose. So I'm fairly comfortable with that one. So let's see. Oh, right. But I was going to test guards, but I wanted to make sure that I'm set to render everything. And then really, I should probably go to bed. I probably should have gone to bed 2 hours ago. Okay, so so we are not drawing static stuff, but let's go ahead and do that, and we'll just see whether or not because really all that matters is like, hey, is a guard turning its head? Yeah. I mean, I guess like we could, if we found a case where like there's a guard. Oh God. I have to find one that doesn't move. But yeah, so that's moving. So that's clearly part of the dynamic world. It's not fixed. The other test would be to say, like, open fort of Bob, and I think like, yeah, if we set the rotation speed to 0, as an example. say so now those should all be static. And let's say we'll hide the dynamic stuff. Oop. But we should still see the guards. Right? I think. Maybe not. Why is that? Oh, because they can glow, of course. And they... Okay. So hold on. Okay, so let's try that again. We'll do that, but we'll say can glow equals false. Shield... Oh. Okay, we'll do that. And then we'll say we'll make all the enemies oh. Okay, let's just look at guard. We'll manually just set them here. Okay. Now, I think we should see the guards again. That's really... Alright, I guess I won't be able to see the projectiles. So let's turn dynamic stuff back on. We've already confirmed that we can see them as expected, to see the guards, even if they're not yes. Come on. Do it again. Yes, not glowing, they're invincible, etc. So silly condition to test for, but that works. So let's go ahead and check out levels. So we'll revert those changes because we don't want to keep those changes to the levels. Let me think of. I'm trying to think of one that has parasites in it. Bomb deposit. Maybe? I don't know. Can't remember this. This one might. I think this one does. Okay, well. Oh, that's true. Just because I see it doesn't mean. Well, I mean, ultimately, it's moving, so that means it's not static. So, yeah, that's an effective test. Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure there are more. Like, what's a sliver part? Out of curiosity, what does that extend? Nothing. Apparently not an actor. Interesting. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. But anyway, yeah, and like the logic stuff, we don't have to worry about at all. Non-incarnators or HUD. Holograms already taken care of. Just out of curiosity, see weapon, which is a what? Yeah. No. Okay. Again, covered by the class hierarchy. Okay, so we're like past here. I'm not sure what a marker actor is. Nothing uses it. So that's interesting. Yeah. Dead code, I guess. I don't know. Okay, rail shooters, guard can go away, 45 can go away. Okay. Shuriken, I'm sure it's just a C abstract missile. Which again, yeah, defaults to false. Ultimately, missile, yeah, right, because that's an abstract actor. Interesting. 'Cause, 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 'cause Parasite, that's a real mover. Pill is a ball, which is a real shooter, which is a real mover. So that's fine. That's, yeah. Again, code that's not actually used. It seems like. Spider BSP. Gun BSP. Is this all like... Interesting. Anyway. Flame missile, abstract missile, C ramp. This is already handled. Yeah. Real shooters is a real mover, so that doesn't need to be overridden. Scout is a real mover. A sphere. What is it? Glow actor. Fair enough. So I think that's all it really needs to know. Switch. Ooh. I would say... Again, is geometry static? No. I would say that is, again, a safe assumption. Because, again, if you're not using a switch to be a switch and have multiple states, why would you... use a switch. Is geometry static? Return false. Switch is never static. And make sure that... Yeah. Okay. Those parts are never static. Teleporter. You know, those... Solid... Oh. Right. Glow actor. But what about... What is... A bridge too far. I mean, in all likelihood, yeah. Will glow, will have a shield. one or the other. So I think, yeah, presumably if I load a bridge too far, it will still work. Not static. Boom. Okay. Okay. And right. So I think this isn't in use either. Yeah. Not sure what that is, but I really want to know what this is. For sure. Interesting. Somebody should really look at that sometime. Anyway, so it looks like teleporter might be the only other thing that I could theoretically do some tests on. So let's say because everything else seems to be accounted for. Virtual bool is geometry static override. Override. As I said, I should be going to bed, but I'm so close to probably finishing this. So the question is, where's the I start message? That's interesting. Hold on a sec. I'm going to check. I want to see this. Oof. I don't remember what that number was. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, 40, 140, 141, 142, 143, 144, 145, 146, 148, 49, 150, 151, 152, 153, 154, 155, 156, 157, 158, 159, 160, 161, 162, 163, 164, 165, 166, 167, 168. Was that what the that start message thing was before? Was it like 168 or 167 even? If zero indexed and all that. I'm curious. Where would that be? That would be like right here. Oh, let's turn that back on. Hold on. Let's go ahead and just set that real quick so that it compiles. Alright, let's go ahead and do that. And then, put that back on. Load Grimoire. Start message 17. Did I say 179? I don't know. It's about that. I probably miscounted. But yeah, I mean I think that's where that came from. That's the default. Because it's just like that index in the enum. Okay. Makes sense. So that's why at start is a seemingly random number. It's not random. Okay. So, cool. Long story short, too late. I would say what would make it static? If start message was just let's say if start message ID equals start message and stop message 0, then return true, because that means, or actually, because it starts at the start and never switches off. And what would it be like? Also the speed, rotation speed. Yeah, that doesn't matter. I don't think this. I mean, options. That's interesting. I'm not sure what that is. Or like enabled. My status. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. It starts false, but then the start message activates it. So yeah, it doesn't really matter what the status is, quite frankly. Unless... enabled, is that it's called? Okay, yeah. So maybe it's like that or enabled, because like, yeah, maybe it doesn't so if it doesn't spin and it doesn't ever turn off and it's set to start when the game starts, or it's just enabled is just set to true, then that's interesting. It's not even, you can activate and deactivate teleporters. Okay, well, that's not, yeah. Oh, wait a sec. Set start to 0. Group to something in the shape and speed. That's interesting. In the shape and speed according to... So that doesn't. I mean, surely I thought that affected visibility. Um, let's look at the frame action. Um, yeah, because it does change the transparency whether or not it's enabled, and if rotation speed and it's not transparent, then it spins. So that makes sense. And where does... Okay, yeah, and the start stop message stuff helps update the enabled flags. So I think this is accurate. Um, okay. So just one more thing to test here. Let's hide static stuff. So now we should not see the teleporters in Grimoire. We should only really see goodies. As an example. Nope. What the heck? Yeah, there it is. But why? Huh. So let's do that again, I guess. Is it another case of like the messages just not getting... Yeah. Not populated yet. So let's look at the end script method again. And ultimately, this stuff has to happen before the part is loaded. So there. Looking in the wrong place. Okay. So I think that's fine. I don't think moving that stuff should make a difference. Let's double check. At least, in terms of breaking or not breaking. Okay, so that has a thing set. Oh dear. Oh bother. Okay, let's look here. So start message is iStart message as far as I am aware. Enabled is probably false, but again, this should be true. And well, actually no, because it's obviously anyway, message ID is 0. Where's rotation speed? Rotation speed is 0. So it's interesting that it's not landing in here. Well, I guess I didn't look to see if the shape was what the shape was. Okay, let's just look at this. Oh, well, Okay. There's those, so let's just... hide those. Just as a means to make sure that we're debugging the proper teleporters, which we should be. Okay. Oh, well, yeah. Of course not. This isn't gonna do anything, but we'll do it. clearly... You know what? Let's do this. 167. So why... That's really strange. Oh, I see. Show always true. Okay, show always option. So what's... Oh, that must be the is ambient thing, right? Maybe. I show always. So that's after dead range. Oh, man. Yeah. Show always one. Interesting. So that's just not documented. Oh, no, there it is. Okay. Jeez. More confusing stuff. So if it's set to show always, or it's enabled, or the message ID is equal to the start message, then it's static. Well, I mean, and all this other stuff is true. I still am so confused about this start message crap. Why is it getting set to 179 instead of yeah, there's no manual start thing here. Yeah, it was like 167 versus 179. There's a difference of 12. Why is there a difference of 12? Let's see. Okay. Because, yeah, if the stop message thing doesn't matter so much if show always is on. Because, yeah, either it starts at start, in theory. Obviously that doesn't work. Or it's already enabled. Or it's set to show always. And stop messages not set, or it's set to show always. And rotation speed is 0. There's probably a slicker way to write that, but I think that makes sense. This damn start message crap, though. I'm just going to say plus 12. Let's hard code that for now. I just want to make sure to see if it works, that, like logically it's sound. Okay, so yeah, if I do that, then we don't see it. Why is it plus 12? It does not make any sense. But, oh, right. So let's keep that there for just a second. Because yes, it should not show in Grimoire, but it should show in, we should see teleporters and training grounds, because those spin. What would be another good test? I think that's a good test. Again, this is nuts. Why is that there? I don't understand. But I need to go to bed. I start message. I guess because it's one, two, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like it just, I'm so confused as to why. That equals 179, which is a different value than the 167. Like if I add another variable here, I don't know. C placed actors in script or something. Is it in there? I don't know. Don't seem like it. I don't know. It's tempting to just simplify it to if show always is set. Like if it's, well, I don't know. I'm going to wait to commit this probably, even though I feel like it's pretty much done. As well made and aggressive as I can make it, I still don't like this weird bit here. But thank you for tuning in. This definitely went on longer than I intended on going tonight, but yeah, we made some progress, so happy about that. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, and good night.